Hello, gorgeous NFA Money Mama. It's time for episode number 53. This is in the NFA Goal Setting series, and today we're going to talk about how fear and imposter syndrome stop you from accomplishing your goals. This is such an important topic because it comes up for pretty much every business owner I know. I want you to think about how many times you've been afraid in the last year or however long it's been since you started your business, 5 years, 10 years, 1 year. Fear comes in cycles and waves, and so does imposter syndrome. So this is a really important topic for you to start to dig into, understand why it happens, and help yourself by asking a few simple questions to get into alignment. And that's all of the things we're going to cover today. First, I have a really fun announcement. We just opened our landing page for our very first live in-person NFA Money Breakthroughs workshop. So go to NFAmoneybreakthroughs.com to find out everything about it. You're going to learn in today's episode that fear is something that stops you from manifesting. And this workshop is going to help you overcome your fears, learn how to work with yourself so that you can let go of money stress and manifest more easily. This is really practical and actionable and experiential. It's limited to 20 people. It's an in-person event in Colorado, so we would get to hang out in person. I'm so excited about it. I want you there if it feels aligned. And just know that you will come and in an interactive way break through your unconscious money blocks so that you can really thrive in your life and business and feel really good about money and have the tools you need to walk away successful in terms of your relationship with money and know how to, over time, become a money magnet. And I know all those things sound out there and maybe a little bit woo-woo, and the truth is that woo-woo works, and I'm going to teach you the really practical, actionable strategies. So if this sounds interesting to you, go to NFAmoneybreakthroughs.com, and I want to see you there. It's on April 15th and 16th. That's our first workshop, and then we'll be doing them every month around the country. So exciting. Okay, let's break into today's topic. Fear. First, I want to define fear for you. Fear is, my acronym I use is future expectation of awful results. The future expectation of awful results. And what I want you to think about here is that fear is a made up idea in your mind where you're projecting a future-based worry, stress. You're making up a story about something that hasn't yet happened in a way that causes you to feel stressed in the now. So you're projecting into the future, you're expecting something bad is going to happen, and so you're sending out a vibrational frequency to the universe that you're afraid. What this does is attracts back to you things to be afraid of. And so you want to start playing with, what am I projecting into the future? How can I get into the present moment? And why am I even afraid? I think that what I see most commonly for people is that we get stuck in imposter syndrome and it causes us to be afraid, mixed with being out of alignment with your zone of genius. And so let's dig into those two. When you're in your zone of genius, doing what you love, fear and doubt and uncertainty are minimized, which means that you are going to move through the fear in a different way. Fear might come up in cases where, let's say you're taking on a big new project, or you're even just starting your business and you're going, I'm going to launch this new product, program, or service, and I'm feeling some fear, some nervousness around it. You could look at that fear and nervousness and go like, okay, it's there, I'm excited, and I'm going to keep moving forward one step at a time, even though I feel afraid and I don't know what I'm doing, which is the imposter syndrome part. And that's you being aligned with your zone of genius. You have this, I will figure it out no matter what attitude. And so you see obstacles as on the way instead of in the way. You might wake up in the morning and go like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. And yet I'm still dedicated and inspired to taking action because I'm committed and I see the end result so powerfully in my mind. And I know that it's possible for me to accomplish this goal. That would be alignment with your zone of genius. So remember that action is evidence of belief. Action is evidence of belief. So when you are willing to get up in the morning and take action, even though you have this feeling of fear and not knowing what you're doing, that is evidence that you believe in what you're doing, which to me is alignment with your zone of genius. When you're aligned with your zone of genius and you're fulfilling your highest values, you are going to be inspired to take action even if you feel afraid. You're going to maybe feel like you don't know what you're doing, but you're still going to be willing to take the actions and figure it out and perfect, quote unquote, perfect it over time and perfect yourself over time, knowing that no matter what, when you're starting something new, of course you don't know what you're doing. Why would you, right? Think about yourself as a little kid when you started learning to walk. Imagine if the very first time you got up, you fell down and you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to walk again. Or I'm just not even going to try. No, you see babies, they try, they get up, they use the table, then they fall down, they take a couple steps, fall down, then they take a couple more steps, and then they start running, and it doesn't happen in one go. And they don't have the conscious awareness yet to beat themselves up in a fear-based way, thinking, oh my God, I'm such a failure, why can't I do it? Instead, they just keep going until they walk because it's built into their wiring to move around, right? And so that is evidence of belief. There's no doubt, so there's no resistance. They just keep doing it until they figure it out. When you're aligned with your zone of genius, it's very similar. You'll set a goal in your business and you might have roadblocks. Here, could give you so many examples in my business. Lately, I'm sitting with this fear and imposter syndrome as well. I'm like, wow, I'm noticing some fear come up. I've really revamped my business in the last year and my income has gone way down because I've taken a lot of time to rebuild in different ways than I've done before because I wanted to restructure. I chose a different strategy and I chose to be more in alignment with my zone of genius. And when you start that process, you reawaken this new evolution of yourself as an imposter because you don't know what you're doing. So how you face that is what matters. If I sat there and I went, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm so afraid, and I let it cripple me with fear, that would mean that the next steps I'm taking are really not in alignment with my zone of genius. And sometimes you just don't have a plan yet. The thing you want to pay attention to is that you will figure it out when it's in alignment. When you feel really aligned with what you're doing, you will have the mindset of like, I'm not sure what I'm doing. I feel kind of like a fool. I'm fumbling around. It's not happening as fast as I thought. And I'm still 100% dedicated to the outcome. And so in my business, I have that. This year I've slowed down my income. I've really revamped. I've gotten way more refined. I've chosen to continue to have more potent brand identity. And I have added what I see the big vision of my business being, which is, growing the podcast, growing on YouTube, doing speaking and workshops around the world, having my own workshop that's world known, NFA Money Breakthroughs. The first one's coming up. This is the one I was talking about. So that's been a vision of mine since the beginning of my business, and having my NFA Money Mama Mastermind grow with really freaking incredible women. And so those are the things that I'm focused on. And, on the side, of course, having passive streams of income through book and courses. And in all of that, I revamped my brand. I really focused on my avatar. I got clear on who I choose to work with. I, have gotten better at having the right team members. My husband left his job to come work with NFA Money full time so that we can really scale. And so I'm taking big leaps to scale my business to the next level. And it's caused a downturn of income, which causes you to already have imposter syndrome. You go like, oh my God, money is such evidence to ourselves. It's like that outward tangible feeling of like, oh, I'm making money, so I'm valuable and important and it makes sense and what I'm doing is working. And when the money goes down, I start to doubt myself. I'm like, oh shit, what am I doing? Maybe this isn't going to work. And I sit with myself and I go like, is that true? And I even play it out to the level of like, okay, let's just pretend that like it's not going to work. And so I'll play out a story in my mind to let myself see what I'm really afraid of and to see if it's really aligned for me, the goal. And so here's an example. I'll go like, okay, let's just drop the business altogether. Like NFA money doesn't matter. What I'm doing in the world doesn't matter. And then very quickly, I'm like, yeah, right. That is some bullshit. Like, I love what I do. I love teaching. I love coaching. I love running workshops. I love to get to hang out with you. I love it when you email me and DM me and say that you're getting results. Like that is what makes me get up in the morning and feel excited and inspired to be alive. Like my eyes are filling up with tears right now. So if I quit doing that, I would wake up in the morning and like get ready to go to a job, that would feel so wrong and bad. And so I know that when I start to play that out in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm 100% committed to my business. I'm 100% committed to my vision of impacting 5 million people through NFA Money's offerings, and I'm on track and I'm staying on track. So notice how in those instances, yes, I can sit with imposter syndrome. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing all the time. Sometimes I'm like, God, I'm not where I thought I would be 5 years in, or, and I just go like, okay, well, whatever, it's taking longer and I'm still committed. And so I face the fear, I let it move through my body, and I shift the energy by reminding myself I'm in my zone of genius, it feels good, and I'm going to keep taking steps every day. So even on those fear and doubting days, I still take action. Because my underlying subconscious belief is so clear that it's possible to impact 5 million people through my company, and I'm on track and I'm dedicated, even in the moments where money goes down and there's not as much outward evidence in terms of like quick things, quickly attracting things as fast as I want to. So when this happens, I do sit back and go, let's investigate. What's the stuck point of resistance here? When things aren't happening the way you expect, there's some sort of resistance. And mostly it's you need to let go of your expectations and just take the next step. So here, saying all of that, I want to summarize and give you your action steps. So remember that fear and imposter syndrome are evidence that you are either out of alignment. They're evidence that you're out of alignment or don't have a plan. If something is fully in alignment with your zone of genius, you're going to be able to see a plan and brainstorm ideas. And the thing you want to do then is just take the next first step. You don't need to know A to Z, just A to B. If you realize in sitting with your fears that it is out of alignment, pivot. Because pushing and forcing yourself to do something that's not in alignment with your zone of genius is going to trigger a lot of fear and imposter syndrome for the long term. And it's going to feel, it's almost like you're putting on a costume that doesn't fit, and every day you're trying to force it to fit. And I use those words very intentionally. You are trying to force it. When you're in flow, you will feel aligned. You will feel like, oh, ideas are coming. You will feel like, okay, I'm going to try this step. I'm going to try this step. I'm going to try this step. I'm going to try this. And you keep going because you're so clear that what you are dedicated to creating and accomplishing that big goal, mine being to impact 5 million plus women and entrepreneurs, small business owners, people who are looking for money mindset healing, impact those 5 million people plus. I'm so clear. So I keep going. And that action is evidence of my belief. So get into a place of action being your evidence of belief. And these are the questions I want you to ask yourself this week. So this is your action step, or these are your action steps. First, journal about this. Is what I'm doing aligned with my zone of genius? Is what I'm doing aligned with my zone of genius? Or if you don't quite know your zone of genius, hang out and talk to me. Or just ask yourself what I most enjoy doing, okay? Because if it is aligned, the fear and the imposter syndrome will drop, or you'll just keep moving through even though you have those feelings. Second question is, what's the first small step I can take that's on the way to accomplishing the goal? What's the first small step I can take that's on the way to accomplishing the goal? This way, you let go of your fear that you don't have a plan to get from A to Z. You just need to have a plan to get from A to B, and then B to C, and then C to D, and the steps will appear as you take action. And then you'll start increasing your belief, which will reduce the fear and reduce the imposter syndrome doubts. And that is how you move through fear, drop imposter syndrome, and accomplish your goals and manifest everything you desire. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to check out NFAMoneyBreakthroughs.com and come to the workshop. I would be so psyched to get to spend 2 days with you breaking through your unconscious money blocks so that you can magic wand your way much more easily to the income and business that you love. Until next time, sending you hugs and NFA money making high fives. Woohoo! You made it to the Woman Entrepreneur Podcast. If you haven't been here yet, I'm your host, Dr. Amanda, the Money Healer. Every week on this podcast, you'll learn money mindset, manifestation, and business scaling strategies that will help you make the big bucks doing exactly what you love to do in your business. Oh yeah, high fives. Why do I do this? Because after I went from food stamps to 6 figures in my business in its first year, it's been my quest to help you learn how to work less, make more, and have fun scaling your business from what I call your zone of manifestation. Now let's get to it.